Well, it's the 26th of the month, and I guess that means it's Boxing Day. This is where I take an old box and turn it into something beautiful and useful. Hi, I'm Lauren. Welcome to Evermore Creative Arts Studio. This month, I've decided to tackle my chaotic washi tape box. It's an absolute mess, and I struggle to find things. I don't even know what I have half the time. So I think something must be done. So, since it's Boxing Day, I've got a box. I have a very sturdy box, which is good, and I have 6 dowels. They hold the washi tape nicely. I just want to set them out now to see if I can fit all 6 across the length of the box and still have room for the washi tape to move fluidly so they don't get, jammed up on each other. And it looks like they're going to fit. So, yay. So my next step is going to be to figure out how I want to lay out my dowels. And I think I want to set it up like a riser so that it's a little bit more interesting to look at than a flat box. So I'm setting up my washi tape in a diagonal across the top, and I'm going to measure in about 2 inches in and 2 inches up, and that'll kind of give me a starting off point. That's about the only thing that I'm going to measure on this side. I'm going to eyeball the rest of it, and so I set up my washi tape where I think that they should fit, and then I decide that a couple of those washies are a little bit smaller than the others, so I grab some washi tape that are closer to each other in diameter so that I can make sure that I'm spaced out evenly. So once I do that, I mark the center of the washies, and just to make them uniform, I will go down a 1/2 inch with my ruler. And it works out that they're pretty much 2 inches between each other, which kind of delighted and gobsmacked me. I wasn't expecting it to be so bang on. So I'm going to go up the 2 inches on the other side of the box and in 2 inches from the back of the box on the other side. There we go. And I'm going to draw another line. So now when I cut, both sides should be the same. Should be the same. So I'm going to use my big carpet knife, and be careful with the sharp knives. It's easier when you're cutting heavy material to score it and do, a couple of passes rather than try and get through it in one pass. And if it's easier, it's bound to be safer too. So this is what I'm doing. I'm scoring it. I'll do the 2 sides first, and then I'll go across the front. There. Well, it's looking pretty good so far. Yep, I'm liking it. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to put holes in there. I think most logical thing would be to use a hole puncher. The cardboard's really thick, but it does get through. But the holes are just a tad small for my dowels. But, I think I can work around that, so I'm going to go ahead and punch my holes. Yep, too small. So I grab another tool and just wiggle it around until it just kind of bumps up the size of those just a smidge. There. And they fit nice. A little bit snug, and that's kind of what I want. I don't want them to be too loose. And then go to the other side, and I'll just kind of eyeball it so it's straight across. But now I'm thinking maybe I'll use my ruler on this side. Since I worked out to about 2 inches spaced apart quite evenly on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I'm also going to mark down 1/2 inch so that I can make sure that I get my holes at the same level as the other ones. So I just quickly mark it out. It was a lot simpler than I kind of thought it would be. Sorry this is off camera a little bit. That's a newbie mistake. But there's my line. Lines up good with those ones on the other side, it looks like. So now I'm marking little marks on that line at 2-inch intervals. There. Okay. And I'm just going to put in a circle like a bullseye and cross my fingers and hope that this works out. There. I don't know where my other tool went that I used to widen those holes, but I have a pencil and that'll work. Stick it in there and jostle around a bit, and they'll get just the right width. Worked out really well. There. Well, that's looking pretty nice. Feeling kind of proud of myself right now. Yep, and the washi fits. I'm just going to go and put 1 roll of washi on each of the dowels just to make sure that they do actually have room to move nicely once it's all put together. I like to test things out at each little stage because I would hate to get to the end of a large project and find out that things just didn't fit the way that they ought to. It didn't work out. So, yep, happy washi. And good to go. Okay, now I'm going to start working on covering the box. I don't want a coffee box. I want a pretty box. So I've got my Mod Podge and my baby wipes. That is one of the best tool in my arsenal. If you don't have baby wipes in your studio, you should get some. They're so handy. Random book pages. I'm going to tear them so they're a bit more manageable in size. And then I'm just going to start to glue them down. Put on a nice generous coat of Mod Podge and stick down my first piece. And another piece. And it's really meditative to do, but it's really boring to watch. So I think I'm going to cut to a place where I've got more of the papers on, and yeah, I'm doing the front now, and I'm noticing that there's sort of a big crack between it just doesn't join nicely between the bottom and the side. So I'm going to try and put some Mod Podge in there to see if I can make that stick, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. I don't know, somehow the box warped a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take some masking tape, and once I've dried the glue off, because masking tape doesn't like the damp. Okay, we'll start on the other side then. because I'll have to do that side too. But I'm just going to put masking tape just over the edges, just to just bring them together so they're a little neater and a little tidier. And I'm not worried about using masking tape because everything's getting covered with paper, so it's all going to be solid as anything when it's finished. So this just brings it all nice and tidy together and looks so much neater. Okay, well, I can't do much about that, so I'm just going to turn those flaps under. Yeah, and then I'll put a piece of tape over that last little exposed part of the bottom there. So now I'm ready to just carry on and finish putting the base coat of paper down. I like book pages. They're neutral and you can get a variation in print styles or languages. It's just nice. It's non-obtrusive and it's easy to build upon. And I like to wrap my papers around the edges. That just gives it a nice finish. Makes it tidier. Okay, next I'm going to cover the inside corner pieces. So I fold a piece of paper in half. That'll be the up and down corner. I fold another one for the bottom edge. And then I'm going to just tear out the little piece in the middle of the bottom edge one so that when it comes together, there's no bulk in there. You'll see. Oh, I'm off screen. I'm really sorry about that. Atta girl, Lauren. Okay. There. So there's the center piece going in the up and down, and you can see how the bottom pieces kind of overlap, and because there's a big chunk torn out of there, there's no bulk. So they just sit nice and flat. Just make sure they're all glued down nice. There. That's good. 3 to go. So I'm going to speed it up now a little bit, just because this can be quite tedious. There. I'm going to use scissors on this one. I just tore the other one because I could, but it's a little tidier. Maybe you can see it better if I use scissors. And that's how it closes together. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the back. I'm going to make sure all my little edges are held down. And I'm going to cover it with just a piece of craft paper. And again, oh, there's a little piece I missed. Just so there's no gaps in the bottom. So this paper is a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut an edge off, and again I'm going to eyeball that. It's roughly 1/2 inch. And I'm only going to put glue on the first third of it. Rather than putting glue down the whole bottom of the box at once, and it can start to dry before I've put down my paper. I'm just going to do it in parts. I find for me that works better. I get a much better adhesion. There. And that's a nice bottom. There's a few air bubbles in there. I'll make sure that the corners are all down and all the edges. Sometimes you have to go over those with a bit more glue. Oh, there. It's a plastic bone folder, but it works really good to get the air bubbles out. You can use a card, or I mean like a gift card or a key card or something. Just something flat that you can get a nice pressure with, and just push them to the outside. And the little ones that are still left under there, I'm not going to worry. That is, after all the bottom of the box, it'll be fine. So any other little corners or edges that are sticking up, I'm just going to glue them down. And now comes the funnest part, or my favorite anyway. I get to decoupage some color and life into this thing. So I've picked some napkins that have some beautiful roses and hydrangeas on them. And I'm going to randomly put them down places. I like to tear the napkins. I don't want to put a whole napkin down in one place. It's hard to handle an entire napkin, and it's too uniform for me. I would rather pull out segments of the napkin and put them down where I want. This is fun on the paper too. It ends up looking somewhat like a printed botanical onto a book page, sort of. But there. I don't like straight edges. That one on the bottom is fine because it's going against the bottom, which is a straight edge. But if anything else, if it's going to come to an end up on the main part of the work area, I like to tear the edges. It's just a nicer finish. It's just what I like. So put a coat of Mod Podge down, put the napkin down, and then I gently put another coat of Mod Podge on top, and I work from the center outwards so I can get rid of any bubbles that might be popping up. And tissue is really easy to get rid of the bubbles in, but you have to be gentle because it also tears very easily once it gets too wet and too worked. But there. I think that's so pretty. So I'll put another one there, I think, or there, or there. I'll just tear the bottom off so it doesn't hang over the bottom edge. And there's a good place for it. I'm not too concerned about covering my holes up because it is just tissue paper, and I've punched through cardboard already. I'm pretty sure I can punch through tissue if I have to, so not worth fussing about. There. See? So I just go around the whole box. And I've only used one pattern of tissue paper for this one. Sometimes I like to mix them up a little, but I like this one. It was just simple and pretty. You're not going to see a lot of the inside anyway because, you know, the washi tape is going to be blocking the view. But I think I'm just getting really into the gluing process. That's something that I really enjoy. It's quiet work. I've debated about cutting the next few minutes of this footage out because it is just me gluing flowers down. But I wasn't sure where to splice it. I've got it set to the highest speed I can, so it shouldn't take too long. I actually kind of just like watching it myself. I find it kind of therapeutic almost. Not quite the same as doing it, but close. So I'll just let it run. You can skip ahead if you like. It won't hurt my feelings. So the second napkin I'm using, I hadn't torn the underplies out. Usually napkins are 3 ply, sometimes 2, but most often 3. If you're going to use napkins to collage anything, you need to take both those underplies off, so you're left with just a single ply with an image on it. Otherwise, you won't get a good adhesion, and any transparency is going to be lost too. And the transparency is part of the beauty of using a napkin or tissue to collage with. You get to see all those underlayers. You can also, too, if you want to tear out a particular section of your napkin, you can take a paintbrush, load it with water, and draw an outline with the water around the image that you want to use, and then it just tears away from the rest of the tissue really easily. I'm not doing that here because I don't have a lot of room on my desk, and I didn't have enough room to lay it out and have water and everything else. So now it's the next day, and I'm ready to put my dowels in. Everything's dried and secure. I've gone ahead and sorted out my washi tape kind of a rainbow coordination. Loosely, can I just say loosely? Yeah, the oranges and reds are together, the greens and the blues, and then the miscellaneous. But thought I would do that ahead of time, just to save a little bit of time. You don't need to watch me struggle with that. But I wanted to show you putting it all together, and it's coming together really well. The sides, because they're decoupaged, and it's a tough box, but they're also the layers of papers that I decoupaged on, as well as the flowers. They all add strength to the sides. So this is a very sturdy little unit here, and I'm quite pleased with it, actually. I've got one more to go. I thought maybe I might have to put these little wee guys, hey? I thought maybe I might have to put some kind of stop to keep the doweling from sliding in and out, but I don't have to because they're quite snug, which is really good. If they loosen up, I'll figure something out, but yeah, for now, I'm really happy with this. And I had another thought as I was looking at it. It's very deep, it's very long, and it's pretty. It's going to take up a lot of space on my desk, but I could put it this way. I could put it up and down, vertical, and it would take up a lot less space on a shelf, at least, you know, width-wise, height-wise, where I actually have it as the top of a shelf. So it fits better this way. This is the way that I've decided to I guess display it or to store it. I didn't intend it that way. I intended when I started for it to be low and flat, long, but I like it up and down a lot, so I'm happy. Well, that concludes the first of what I hope to be many Boxing Days that I will post on the 26th of each month. If you feel so inclined, I'd love it if you would join me in this little creative endeavor. Just use the hashtag Boxing Day forevermore so I can find you and see what you made. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time spent with me. If you'd like to see more of my videos, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel and then just tap the little bell so you can be notified when I post new content. And that's it for this time. I'll see you around. Have a lovely day.